Hello and welcome back to some more Genshin Impact. So I'm going to be doing these two side quests that are related to a Parade of Providence, the timed event I've been working on. This one right here, talk to Kashmir? I don't know. Anyways, it says, will Kashmir have any information regarding the incident from 20 years ago that Dory mentioned? Now, I remember at the beginning of the timed event when I met Dory, she mentioned somebody and that's probably who this is. So let's talk to him. Who are you guys? Is there something you need? No. Or that incident from 20 years ago. I guess I shouldn't have told anyone. Last time I had too much to drink and blabbered a little too much. And now people are seeking me out. Since you're curious, I guess I'll tell you. I was just 6 years old 20 years ago, so I can't remember clearly what happened at the time. But recently, I read the diary I kept when I was a child, and vaguely recalled the situation back then. Wow, he could write at 6 years old? That's pretty good. The Interdarshan Championship was also held that year. There were 3 rounds, the last of which was outside the city. I begged my mom to take me out of town to see it, and when she refused, I snuck out. And then I ended up getting lost outside the city, in the middle of nowhere. There was no one around. I grew more and more frightened and began to cry. That's when I saw some strange creatures. I can't remember what they looked like. I only remember how, as a child, I stopped crying at the sight of them. Strange, creatures? They must be the Arnara. They took me to the competition. Unfortunately, by the time we got there, it was too late. It was already over. Just when I was disheartened, I suddenly saw one of those strange creatures slowly dragging a crown along. It was a beautiful crown shining in the moonlight, and I could not help but follow it. I saw the little fellow hide the crown in a hollow tree before disappearing. I wanted to touch that crown, but at the moment I could hear the distant cries of my mother. It turns out she figured out I was lost and got her neighbors to go looking for me. Huh. I never got to touch it. It wasn't until I was older, when I saw the Diadem of Knowledge at the Interdarshan Championship, that I realized it was the same thing. Alright, do you remember where that diadem ended up? It's probably in the Avidya Forest, but I've been back a few times and haven't found anything. No one would believe me, even if I told them. Alas, even I can't remember it clearly. Perhaps it was a dream I had when I was a child. Well, should we go look for it, Aether? I mean, we know that the diadem was destroyed already, so whatever this was, it was either the diadem or it's some kind of fake thing. Anyways, let's teleport here and run down there. So this is the tree hollow right here. Now I just gotta figure out how to get in. Oh, right here. I went around in a big old circle. There's a hole in the tree. It seems completely empty, and there's nothing in it. Eh? Wait, there's a note there. I mean, you guys were already looking at the note when she said that. The good Nara taught Arakasiapa how to read. Arakasiapa must protect the good Nara. What's this supposed to mean? Okay. So, Sachin's article is the next one on the list right here. I guess they're just going to keep adding new quests until this quest line is done. Ask Dory for information. There seems to be something else behind what Dory has told you. Why not go and ask her for more information? So let's go do that. Well, well, if it isn't Aether and Paimon yet again. I have the latest update on the Academia Extravaganza. Blah. Would you like to hear it? How much is it? It's free, isn't Lord Sangamabe generous? Do you guys remember Sachin? The guy who sponsored the Academia Extravaganza. Paimon heard that the prize money and Diadem of Knowledge came from him. Bingo! In fact, not long ago, when I was doing business in the desert, I met an old businessman. And guess what I got from him? A dealer's ledger. With it, I can avoid dangerous areas in the desert and go to more places. Of course, the most important thing is that the ledger mentioned Sachin. It turns out that Sachin had been to the desert to investigate the people's local conditions and customs. He also had cordial exchanges with the traveling merchants in the desert. Much of the text is lost, but this is a first-hand account of the big sponsor behind the Academia Extravaganza. Would you like a look? Of course. Okay, let's have a look then. Old papers. The sandstorms are raging. The caravan has stalled. We ran into a scholar calling himself Sachin. He said he could sponsor the caravan provided that we... This is a trial of human nature. Betrayal, plunder. There was nothing we could do. No one could withstand. If I could do it all over again, I would never have taken that money. Then they wouldn't have had to die, and I wouldn't be living like this. A fate worse than death. People are the most terrifying animals in the world. Eh? This is all hard to understand. Dory, what does this all mean? What does this all mean? I'm afraid if you need it analyzed, it'll cost you an extra million more. Forget it then. Well, since you're not paying, that'll be all for Dory's special news. But let me give you a hint. There should be someone here who's been to a lot of Academia Extravaganzas. Perhaps you could talk to them? Okay, fair point. Well, here's some food for thought. Why did Sachin sponsor the Academia Extravaganza? We already know the answer to that. Obviously, this is a quest line that we were supposed to complete before the story for the timed event, but it's not a big deal. Anyways, let's go all the way down here to our village. Vesudeva is this guy's name. Alas, seeing these young children, I can't help but reminisce about the past. The Interdarshan Championship has always been a stage for young talent. Unfortunately, not every genius will be successful eventually. Why do you say that? Geniuses are mostly stubborn and cold, and find it hard to understand the pain of others. Empathetic people, on the other hand, often fall into self-doubt and depression. People who are not firm and can only stand still, while people who are determined but walk down the wrong path refuse to look back. There's a lot to think about here. Okay, so that's one of the people that I was supposed to talk to. The other one is all the way over there. Thankfully they have these that I can zip to. For this year's Interdarshan Championship, my favorite has to be Sino. Aside from his skills as the General Mahamatra, looking back at the tournament's history, the Spantamad Darshan has the highest percentage of champions. Many people say that the Spantamad Darshan produces many talented people such as Cyrus, Ruzika, Lisa, Sino. The brighter the talent, the sooner the game will lose its suspense. The most exciting competition was still 20 years ago. At that time, my friend also participated in the game, and I went there to cheer for him. The last round was played in Nvidia Forest. In the end, no one dared approach him, and no one knew what was going on in the depths of the forest. Then I heard the Academia shut down the competition. Later, the Interdarshan Championship removed many of the events in which people fought to the death, discouraging people from being desperate enough to do so. What is your friend like? Let me think. He's honest and kind, but he's also vulnerable and sensitive. Most of all, he cares about us. When we drink together, our time is filled with laughter and cheer. It's just too bad that it's all in the past now. Among my friends, among the friends we drank with, some died, some disappeared, some now live in seclusion. They say fate is fickle. Perhaps it's true. Looks like something did happen 20 years ago. Right. Didn't Wikas tell us to seek him out if we had any questions? Now that we have time, why don't we ask him? Okay, all the way back to Sumeru, I'm betting? That incident from 20 years ago? Why the sudden question? Did you hear any particular information? We've heard that the diadem seems to have been lost 20 years ago, and some contestants' personality has changed. You seem to know a lot about that. Wykus, is there something you're not telling us? Not exactly. I was 5 years old when it happened. How could I know? But there are things I've never told anyone. I'm actually part of the Academia Extravaganza's planning committee because of the influence of a senior colleague. That senior colleague and I met on a trip. He was a bit timid and would always flee and cower somewhere at the first sign of an emergency. One day, 4 years ago, I said to him, I want to go back to the Academia. The Academia Extravaganza is about to begin. And then? Upon mentioning the Academia Extravaganza, he got startled and said something about it has nothing to do with me. When I said goodbye to him, he insisted on getting a drink with me. After several drinks, he started talking all sorts of nonsense. I also had too many, and in my drunken stupor, I didn't really hear him that well. I only remember that he said that he lost the Diadem of Knowledge for a while. He was in charge of the distribution and recovery of the Diadem of Knowledge, and that he nearly had a heart attack upon realizing that the diadem was missing. Fortunately, he finally found it in a tree hole. Like the one we saw before, so it was the real one. Okay. He said that the Diadem of Knowledge is a very valuable treasure, which is recorded in many ancient books. Legend has it that it was built by a famous craftsman in ancient times, and carries a secret that no one knows. Sachin had entrusted the Academia to safeguard the diadem after all. If my senior was responsible for the diadem's disappearance, he could not afford to pay for it with his meager wealth. Even if the loss was temporary, no one should know of it, lest the Academia find him guilty of gross negligence. So he covered it up. Yes, it seems that he also said that many people came to inquire about it, including children. But he said that the diadem had never been lost. But he was so scared that when things blew over, he quit his job and left the Academia. I drank too much that night, and when I woke up the next day, he was gone. The more I thought about it, the more I had a bad feeling that issues would crop up in the Academia Extravaganza if entrusted to someone like him. I didn't have a job at the time, so I joined the Academia Extravaganza Planning Committee. I tried to investigate things on the inside too, but I couldn't find anything. And the diadem was found, and the man whose personality was said to have changed was dead, and there was nothing to be found. Still, 20 years is still a long time. Long enough that people involved from the beginning no longer remember nor care. That's all I know. If you're curious, keep investigating and maybe one day you'll discover the truth. That's easy for you to say. We don't have much to go on. Do you have any more information? Like where the senior colleague went? I haven't heard from him. Later, I also went to the desert to look for him, but in the vast desert, it was almost impossible to run into him. To make up for it, I do have some information on Sachin. Would you like to hear it? Sure. Tell us. Well, when I was traveling, I did so with an Eremite commander. While we were chatting, he said he came into possession of an article written by an Academia researcher. He seemed to think it was something precious and refused to show it to anyone, only to let me peek at it at my request. I only caught a glimpse of it, but I saw that it was signed by Sachin. I didn't know who Sachin was, nor did I care. After joining the Academia Extravaganza Planning Committee, I found out that he was an important member of the Vahumana Darshan, who sponsored the event. If you're interested, you can find the Eremite commander in the desert. He's usually in the Valley of Dari. Information related to Sachin. Alright then, let's go take a look. What do you want? Whoa, this guy looks real fierce. Either say your piece or leave. I have no time for you. Actually, we heard that you have Sachin's article on you, so we were wondering if we could have a look. Are you kidding me? No. Why would you ask that? It seems like you guys really don't know. Some time ago, I had the article praised. Turns out it was nothing more than a personal travel journal. It is of little value. He hired my father to keep him safe. That Sachin fellow would often walk, ask, write, and mumble. There was one time his papers were blown away by the wind. He said it was no big deal. My father, however, thought that things written by intellectuals must be valuable, so he looked around for them at night with a torch. None among my family can read. My father cherished this article and then passed it on to me. I had no idea it was completely worthless. Sounds unfortunate, but do you still have it? Yes. Do you want to have a look? You can look at it as much as you want, since it's not worth anything. There's no need for me to be so stingy. Unclear notes. Once the gods reigned supreme, all life flocked to them like sheep seeking shepherds, and those who suffered did so in silence. Now divine power has dwindled while human wisdom has blossomed. However, those who suffer face suffering still. Blah. There's a saying in Liyue that goes, life is like lodging at an inn, and in Inazuma, all things are but void. It hurts every time I read these words. I tried to seek the reason for this. The wheel of time turns, and the only constant throughout Sumeru's history is human nature. Since arriving in the desert, I have conducted a total of 64 experiments over the course of 7 years. Men are like prisoners or captured animals, feeding on each other's happiness, until one is doomed to eternal torment. Therefore, where there is gain, there must be loss. Where there is happiness, there is agony. Everyone is a victim, but everyone is also a perpetrator. Wow. Greed and numbness reside in the heart of humanity. Driven by greed, humans choose to commit evil, and numbness is why they turn a blind eye to the evil of others. But if this is what the world is, what is, then, the meaning of the world? The future is to the present as the present is to the past. Peace was never an option. Conflict is the eternal truth. Everything, from my knowledge, my wisdom, to my life, is but nothingness. So, this is the article that Sachin wrote. To be honest, Paimon can't make any sense of it. But judging from the crummy handwriting, Paimon can't exactly say why, but Paimon has the feeling he was going through a tough time. Well, we're done reading it. Thank you very much. You're welcome. It's not worth any money, but I'm going to keep it anyway. After all, my father entrusted it to me. Come see me again if you want to have a look at it. Okay, that one was complete. And now we have to go back and ask Dory for more information. It's time yet again for an information sale from Lord Sangamabe. Would you two like to purchase the latest reports? Let me see. This information isn't that important, so it'll only go for $500,000. It's half the usual price. What a bargain. Mind giving it to me for free? Whoa, you want to bring it down to 0 Mora? Just as I expected. But I am the great Lord Sangamabe. Well, since you're so interested, I'll tell you for free. But you must keep it to yourselves. How does she make any money if she's always going way too high or way too low? I heard that 20 years ago, there was a contestant whose personality suddenly changed after taking part in the competition. Well, it looks like someone saw him in Aru Village. I wonder where he ended up. That's all the information you're getting for free. If you want to hear more, you gotta pay 2 million, Mora. I appreciate your patronage. What a ripoff. We can just go to Aru Village ourselves and ask around. 20 years ago, a young man did appear here. Back then, life was much harder than it is now. Poverty, disease, ignorance, they tormented us constantly. That young man, clearly from the academia with a bright future, was nevertheless willing to come here and help us. I didn't mean to turn on autoplay. He taught us how to deal with the Wennet and monsters. He bought us a lot of medicine with money from his own pocket and took care of the ill all by himself. He sounds like a great guy. Yeah, too bad the good die young. He was always frowning, and no one knew what he was worried about. Everyone was wondering if he was going to leave us. This place did not have the means to properly host him. Still, many said he was a bit crazy to begin with. For example, he would sometimes tell children a story about how, as a child, he taught a strange creature to write. Later, he would often leave the village and explore the desert. Once I asked him what he was looking for, and he said he wanted to talk to someone from the Nagar something group. Later on, I heard that he died in the quicksand. It is said that he encountered a caravan trapped in quicksand on his way to investigate something. He saved many people, but he himself was unable to get out in time. At that time, there was still a half-finished letter addressed to his child at home. After he died, my son took that letter with him, thinking about delivering it someday. Is that unfinished letter, still here? No, it's not here. To live a better life, my son became a mercenary. He was killed in a scuffle a few years ago, and his belongings were taken. Many years have passed in the blink of an eye. I wonder how his child turned out, and if they hold a grudge against him. Not many people know these things anymore. I'm getting old. Perhaps I'll forget these things soon, too. So where are we going next? Are we going back to Dory? Wait, was that the end? I think that might have been the end of that particular quest line. Huh. So, okay, then let's go ahead and go over to the academia now to take a look around.
Where were you while the rest of us were eating together?
I don't recall being obligated to report my whereabouts to you.
Did you go find another hidey hole to read in? You need to change your ways, you know. You can't survive on books alone.
Surviving on meals paid for by you would be harder still.
You? Whatever. It doesn't take a genius to guess what you've been up to. You were investigating Sachin, weren't you? It was obvious from your notes. However, I don't believe his research alone would have been enough to pique your interest. His way of doing things is disturbing, while you... Well, to be fair, your philosophy disgusts me too, but you and Sachin are nothing alike. I don't imagine your views intersect at all. Egoism and nihilism are not the same thing.
My personal interests aside, Sachin's legacy is not entirely meaningless. He conducted experiments on a great scale and left his findings behind. Also, thanks for the compliment, but I'm actually just passing through. I didn't come here for the conversation. Well, not this one at least.
What do you mean? What topic of conversation could be more sacred among scholars than the exploration of differing philosophies?
Well, based on what I've learned, Sachin and his disturbing way of doing things, as you put it, is very likely to have met your father 20 years ago.
Huh.
What did you say? Wait, so... No. Surely that doesn't mean... So that's why he thought I looked familiar. My father must have gone into the desert due to his influence.
I'm afraid so.
Good thing I shattered that diadem. From now on, nothing like that will ever have to happen again.
The boundaries of knowledge are ever expanding. Someone else will inevitably pick up the same line of research one day, and Vahumana regards it as a reasonable research direction.
Oh, not this again. Even if you're right and people are bound to fall into the same intellectual traps, things won't necessarily go the same way again next time. You have to admit that the actions of one individual don't always predict the behavior of the group, and vice versa. Take Sachin, for instance. He's quite an anomaly.
And so is the one who stopped him. You. Conflicts of this nature are indeed exceptional, but it will occur again in the future. You said it yourself. The actions of one individual cannot predict the behavior of a whole group. You know that not everyone would have chosen as you did.
Even so, I stand by my views. You can forget about trying to convince me.
That's fine. We've been arguing over this for years, and I don't hold any hope of you understanding. The issue we're debating has long since moved on from who's right and who's wrong.
Thanks for letting me know all this.
What?
I said, thanks for letting me know. Hey, stop acting like you didn't hear me. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?
They say that earnest thanks should be given thrice, so one more time, please.
Good grief. Okay, and that was the end of that, right? Yeah, that was the end of that. Nice. So now what I should do is I should go ahead and do the prerequisite quest for the Recollector's Path, you know, the newest timed event that I have available to me. Though a dazzling title is appealing, a noble character of stalwart virtue is indispensable when faced with the totality of challenges. Therefore, trials must be undertaken to fully understand Sarusha's responsibilities. So let's go ahead and find out. Okay, I have to go all the way over there, which means that I need to teleport, like, over here somewhere, and then run all the way up to that place. So let's do it. And here's the teleporter that I had along the way, so I'm about halfway there. I think I'll go to this teleporter next. And here's the other one, so I think I have to head, yeah, in this general direction. I may even try to activate those a little bit later. I see a teleporter straight ahead, so I'll activate that. It's actually right next to where the quest marker is. We passed this way a moment ago. Paimon heard some kind of bonk-a-donk noise. Could there be some treasure buried in the desert around here somewhere? It'd be a shame if we missed it. Paimon's getting excited already. Let's check it out. I think she said that. Anyways, so where exactly should I go? Can I do this now? Splendorous sky that day. Search for the strange object. To solve the anomaly that has appeared in the sky, you must first go into the desert to make contact with the Nagar something or other. Wait a second. Oh, right here. Found it. Found it. Paimon wonders what it is. A mysterious drum. This one has a cryo marking on it. I thought for a second there it said a Sino marking. I was like, a Sino marking? Huh? Ah, come on. This is no treasure. It's just a tattered old drum. We don't know what it could be used for either. If we brought this to Roy and John, the antique seller, or if we brought this one back to the academia, or let's say we brought this back to the Grand Bazaar. Grand Bazaar, sure. Ooh, maybe the people at the theater can make use of this. But wouldn't they already have a lot of these instruments there already? But you know, it's not as if Paimon really knows the difference between drum types or anything. Hold on. There's a note over there at the side. It might just hold some clues. Nameless Adventurer's Notes. This time, I've been commissioned to try and find a local order and obtain information about something known as the Sign of Apausha. I must say that the remuneration seems quite outsized when compared with the mission content. I hope I won't get caught up in any trouble. I reached the entrance to the Tamir Mountains with the help of an Eremite mercenary, but he refused to continue onwards, saying that this was the border of war. Of a war, rather. Must be some sort of desert dweller superstition. Contrary to what I was told, it seems that these Nagarishanites, is that how you say that? I don't know. Are not very friendly to outsiders. It looks like I'll have to try infiltrating their ranks. I finally managed to make it out. thankfully these people are pretty civilized, so I managed to get away with my life. As I thought these high remuneration commissions always have something fishy going on. Looks like an adventurer's work doesn't suit me. It doesn't suit people who just want to make some quick mora. I'll just leave this drum here. Maybe someone will pick it up. That way, I guess I won't totally disappoint Miss Catherine. Let Paimon see. Huh? This seems to have been left by an adventurer. The sign of a Pausha. Paimon's not super sure what this guy's talking about, but he sure is irresponsible, leaving a commission unfinished just because it's hard. But since that's how things are, let's hand this drum over to Catherine and let her reassign someone to complete whatever this commission was. Okay. So Catherine was busy completing the quest. Wisdom has something. What? I'm unable to do this because I have to start this one right here. Catherine seems to be looking for it. Don't you hate it when it kind of has like quests that are layered like this? It's really annoying. You know, where you have to complete one quest to complete the other quest to complete the other quest like this. Just crazy. Catherine seems to be looking for you in Samara's Adventure Guild, so let's go over there. Hello there, Aether. If it's convenient, there's a message for you. Okay. Hello there. We have a letter for you. It's from Miss Jet. Oh, really? So you know Jet too, Catherine. How's she doing? The Adventurers Guild has an open partnership with the Eremites, so it would be more surprising if I didn't know her. She looked quite happy when she arrived, and said she was looking forward to seeing you again. Interesting. Let's see what Jet's written, Aether. Jet's letter to my best friends, Aether and Little Paimon. It's been a while. Hope you two still remember me. I definitely do. How are things going for you? I've heard from merchants traveling from afar and some adventures that you've returned to Samaro, so I wrote you this letter. I'm staying at the Tanit camp right now. Thanks to you, life's been pretty good. Well, let's make the long story short. I wanted to see you two again ever since we last parted, and you know, show you some proper hospitality. And also, there's something left over from our previous adventure I'd like you to come help me finish. This is something I can only trust the two of you with. As for the specifics, I can only tell you about it once you get here. Well, I'll see you then. I've dropped Catherine a line too, so don't forget to come see me. Well, looks like she's having a good time. Better than last time we saw each other. But what's this? The Tanit camp. That name sorta rings a bell. Have we been there before? The Tanit are a tribe from which Jet hails. Their campsite is in the depths of Destret Desert, amidst the ruins of what was once the city of Gurabad. If you don't mind, I'll mark it out on your map. Wow, Catherine really is a walking, breathing encyclopedia. Very impressive, as expected. Yeah. You flatter me, Aether. In order to better serve adventurers, it is the duty of the Adventurers Guild to provide such basic information whenever it is needed. And the Tanit have always had good commercial relations with the Adventurers Guild. With Miss Jet as our point of contact, they have proven themselves reliable across many acts of cooperation. Well, the letter also says that she'd like to settle some unfinished business and has expressly asked us to come along. How mysterious. Did she mention anything specific, Catherine? Well, I imagine it may have something to do with her father or something. Who knows? Well, I'm not at liberty to infringe upon the sender's privacy. I'm afraid the only way you'll find out is if you pay her a visit in person. So there's information that even you can't get a hold of, huh? Sorry. This isn't a matter of ability or lack thereof, but a matter of professionalism. We do not accept any complaints on this front. The Tanit campsite has been marked out on your map for you. They'll be settling there for the next 2 or 3 years, as is the custom of tribal migration. If they happen to not be at this location, please do not hesitate to contact me. I will update you concerning their migratory pattern as soon as possible. That's real thoughtful of you, but Paimon doesn't think we're gonna wait 2 or 3 years to go look for Jet. Okay, Aether. Now that we know where Jet is, what are we waiting for? Let's not keep her waiting. In that case, do contact her for more specific information. Oh, sorry. I forgot to mention that this is not a guild commission. It should just be a meeting between friends. Anyway, Ad Astra Abyssosque, may your reunion lead to a happy new encounters and adventures. The Dirge of Bilquis, or Bilquis, I don't know. So now I have to select the other quest very fast. Hello there, Aether. How have your recent travels gone? They've gone quite well, thank you. I've heard about your previous adventures. It seems that you've become very experienced. As long as you keep going, I believe that it'll only be a matter of time before you become a truly great adventurer. Speaking of adventures, we found this on one of ours. This was left by some irresponsible adventurer. We thought it'd be bad if the commission he took never got resolved, so we brought it back here. A mysterious drum. This one has a cryo marking on it, yeah? Indeed, this item is a key to a particular commission. Thank you very much. The commission linked to this drum is a very important one from the Academia, and is also critical to the expansion of our operations. Unfortunately, though we have previously given this commission to various talented adventurers, they have all invariably failed. A commission from the Academia? Oh boy, here comes trouble. Well, this is an issue that even the Academia cannot solve, so we expect a relatively high failure rate. Actually, Paimon's getting kind of curious now. What sort of commission is this anyway? Simply put, a recent star observation by researchers from the Academia led to the discovery that the northern skies have become blocked by a strange, heretofore unseen phenomenon. Concerned that this would have a great impact on the accuracy of any astrological calculations, the Academia immediately put people together to investigate. This resulted in them delving into ancient records, within which they found mention of a strange phenomenon known as the sign of Apausha, which bears strong similarities to a recent occurrence. According to these records, this celestial sign appeared after the disaster that engulfed most of Devat 500 years ago. Although the circumstances of its eventual disappearance are unclear, its position has been determined to be near the Tamir Mountains, at the northernmost region of the desert. However, that area has only ever been sparsely populated. Even when the ancient desert realms were at their peak, they did not extend that far. And after the cataclysm 500 years ago, that place was one of the areas worst affected by the encroaching abyss, due to it being connected to an ancient underground realm. Since then, it has been declared a restricted zone by the Academia. The only people who still live there are the mysterious Darshan known by the Academia as the Nagar Junites. Mysterious Darshan, you say? Even if you're calling it mysterious, Catherine, it's got to be something super mysterious. Though they seem like legends to the average person, they were once a Darshan of the Academia, albeit one that split off 500 years ago. Then the researchers who wished to fight the monsters from the abyss banded together and traveled to the depths of the desert. And the Nagar Junites are an organization comprised of the people who stayed there in the end. That said, it has been many years since then, and they have branched off further and further from the Academia. They seem to have developed their own academic traditions. It seems that they also worship a form of energy known as Kavarena. This energy communicates with them in the form of spirits. Well, I feel like I'm going off topic now. The Academia believes that this faction is strongly related to the celestial sign. However, they have not been able to establish contact with this group and, as such, have commissioned the Guild to assist in their investigations. This is a win-win situation for us as well. Ruins related to Conria are located nearby, but exploration in that area has been declared taboo by the Academia until now. If this commission is a success, perhaps we will be able to participate in future expeditions to those ruins. Since you've heard me say this much, why don't you take this commission on? You're just finding someone to step up to the plate, huh? Yeah. Hardly. It is following careful analysis that I've found you best suited to this task. After all, your pioneering spirit is something rare, even among adventurers. So, after all that, it sounds like we just need to look for those whatever rights, right? It sounds like it'll be pretty easy. And we'll get some more from the Academia, too. Yes, that drum you picked up was originally given to us by the Academia to be used as a token of good faith in our dealing with the Nagarjanites. Just give it to the organization's leader. It stands to reason that they have some way to solve this problem. I'll be leaving this task in your hands then. I've marked the rough position of the Tamir Mountains for you. Ad Astra Abyssosque, adventurer, or traveler. You may inscribe a new legend in the desert sands. You agree? I can't say that name. So I still need to do this prerequisite quest, which means I have to go to Tamir Mountains. Okay? And it's all the way over here. So let's teleport here. And this is where I believe I'm going to be ending the video. But before that, I'm going to go ahead and make some wishes. So let's go ahead and make some wishes on Baishu's banner here. Okay, copy of Candace. Nice. Unfortunately, I didn't get anything else
Boats are made
of
for transfer.
But, yeah, so the next time I play, I will be continuing this quest line. And once I unlock the, timed event here, I'll be doing that. And as far as Jet's quest, Wisdom built her house. She has her own 7 pillars, which is quite a name, by the way. I'll eventually get to that. Just like I'll eventually get to the Aranara stuff. But, anyways, for now, this is what I'm going to be focusing on. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.